All right, so today we're going to be looking into something pretty heavy, the Washington air disaster.
Yeah.
And, obviously a terrible tragedy. I know you had some time to look through the sources
I
and
am.
kind of get a feel for what happened and what we can learn from it.
Right.
So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So this is a case where a passenger plane and a military helicopter collided over the Potomac.
Yeah, a really busy airspace.
Crazy busy.
Yeah. And it just seems like, from what I've read so far, a lot of things that could have gone right didn't.
Yeah, it's, and tragically, everyone on board both aircraft was killed.
67 people.
67 people, a
Yep.
lot of them young figure skaters.
Yeah, a whole team was wiped out.
It's just heartbreaking when you think about
It
it.
really is.
And it's being called a preventable tragedy.
Which is what makes this so hard to swallow. It's not like there was some kind of freak weather event or unprecedented mechanical failure.
Right.
It just seems like a series of bad decisions and systemic issues.
And that's really what makes this deep dive so important, I think. Trying to understand
Absolutely.
what went wrong
Yep.
and how we can prevent something like this from ever happening again.
Right, because there are still families out there waiting, for closure.
Yeah, the recovery efforts are still ongoing.
They haven't even recovered all the remains.
It's just a lot to process.
It is.
So you mentioned busy airspace, and I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Because Washington, D.C.'s airspace is notoriously complex.
You've got so many planes coming and going all the time, civilian flights, military aircraft.
Government flights, too.
Right, and they're all trying to operate in this very limited space.
It seems almost impossible to manage.
Well, it's not impossible, obviously,
Right.
but it requires a really sophisticated system.
Air traffic control.
Exactly. You need highly trained controllers working with the best technology, and even then,
Yeah, even that.
there's always a risk of human error.
And from what I've read, it seems like there might have been some staffing issues.
There were reports of understaffing at the control tower that day.
Really?
Yeah, apparently they were short-staffed, which is never a good thing in such a critical role.
No, absolutely not.
It makes you wonder if current staffing levels are adequate for the volume of traffic.
It's a scary thought.
It is, and it makes you think about the broader system, too. Are there other airports that are understaffed?
Right. Are we pushing the limits too far?
Exactly.
And even with enough staff, there's still the question of technology, right?
Yeah.
We have all these collision avoidance systems and radar and all that stuff.
But it's not perfect.
No, of course not.
Technology can fail, and it has limitations.
So in this case, was the technology not enough?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's a question that needs to be asked.
Right. Were there any vulnerabilities exposed by this accident?
We need to understand if there are gaps in our safety net.
And then there's the political side of this, which is always a minefield.
Oh, yeah.
So President Trump has actually weighed in on this.
He
He's
has.
blaming diversity hiring practices in air traffic control.
Yeah, he's suggesting that the focus on diversity has led to a decline in competence.
Which is a pretty bold statement,
It is, and it's sparked a lot of debate.
right?
Some people agree with him. They say that we've sacrificed experience and skill for the sake of diversity.
But others say that there's no evidence to support that claim.
They argue that diversity is essential for a strong workforce.
Right, and that this is just a way to deflect blame.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with no easy answers.
It really is, and it's something that we need to be talking about as a society.
Absolutely.
How do we balance the need for diversity with the need for competence?
Especially in high-stakes professions.
Like air traffic control.
Right.
So where do we go from here?
Well, thankfully, the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the crash.
That's good.
They're going to be looking at all the factors that contributed to the accident.
And hopefully they'll be able to provide some answers.
Right, and most importantly, they'll be able to make recommendations for how to prevent this from happening again.
That's what's most important. So it's clear that this isn't a simple situation.
No, it's very complex.
There are a lot of layers to this human error technology policy decisions,
It's all interconnected.
and it really highlights the importance of human oversight.
Because even with all the technology in the world,
Yeah,
we still need humans to make judgments and react to unexpected situations.
that's a good point.
So it begs the question, as technology continues to advance, how do we ensure that human expertise remains central to safety?
That's the question we all need to be thinking about.
Yeah, because this tragedy is a reminder that technology alone is not a foolproof solution.
Right. We need to find the right balance between innovation and human judgment.
Exactly, and that's something that we need to be thinking about, not just in aviation, but in all aspects of life.
Well said. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining me today.
of course.
And for everyone listening, please take a moment to remember the victims of this tragedy and their families.
And let's all work together to make sure that something like this never happens again.
Absolutely. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you.